Question 2. Are we to blame for our own suffering? Why it matters. If the answer is yes, then it may be in our power to reduce suffering. To think about. To what extent are humans responsible for the following causes of suffering? Abuse. The World Health Organization, or WHO, estimates that 1 out of 4 adults suffered physical abuse at some point during childhood, and that 1 out of 3 women experience physical or sexual assault, or both, at some point in their life. Bereavement. An estimated 477,000 murders occurred globally in 2016, states the World Health Statistics 2018, published by WHO. This is in addition to the 180,000 people thought to have been killed in wars and conflicts that year. Health problems. In an article published in the National Geographic magazine, writer Fran Smith notes, more than 1 billion people smoke, and tobacco is implicated in the top 5 causes of death: heart disease, stroke, respiratory infections, chronic obstructive pulmonary disease, and lung cancer. Social inequality. Poverty, relative inequality, being subject to racism, sexism, displacement, and a competitive culture all increase the likelihood of mental suffering, comments psychologist Jay Watts. What the Bible says. Humans bear a heavy responsibility for suffering. Much of it has been caused by oppressive governments that have made life hard for the very people they claim to serve. Man has dominated man to his harm. Ecclesiastes 8:9. Suffering can be reduced. Bible principles promote better health and peaceful relationships with others. A calm heart gives life to the body, but jealousy is rottenness to the bones. Proverbs 14:30. Put away from yourselves every kind of malicious bitterness, anger, wrath, screaming, and abusive speech, as well as everything injurious. Ephesians 4:31. Are we to blame for our own suffering? The Bible says, whatever a person is sowing, this he will also reap. Galatians 6:7. Some suffering is brought on by our own choices. That is why doctors encourage people to eat nutritious food, get exercise, and avoid harmful practices such as smoking. Still, it would be simplistic to say that all suffering is man-made. Many people are innocent victims of accidents, disasters, and other tragedies. Why do good people suffer? See question 3. Learn more. Watch the video, Why Did God Create the Earth? On jw.org. End of article. Question 3. Why do good people suffer? Why it matters. The fact that good people suffer goes against our sense of justice. It also suggests that there is little point in being good. To think about. Some people believe that humans experience a cycle of death and rebirth. They say that those who committed good deeds are reborn into favorable circumstances, whereas those who committed bad deeds are reborn into a life of hardship. According to that belief, even a good person can suffer if he committed bad deeds in a past life. However, what purpose would such suffering serve, since the person supposedly reborn does not even recall his past life? Why do we work hard to stay healthy and avoid accidents if our well-being is largely determined by what we did in a past life? What the Bible says. Suffering is not punishment from God. On the contrary, much of it is random, often a matter of someone being in the wrong place at the wrong time. The swift do not always win the race, nor do the mighty win the battle, nor do the wise always have the food, nor do the intelligent always have the riches, nor do those with knowledge always have success, because time and unexpected events overtake them all. Ecclesiastes 9:11. Our sinful nature contributes to suffering. People often use the word sin to refer to a bad act that someone commits. However, the Bible also uses it to describe a condition that all humans, good and bad, have inherited. I was born guilty of error and sinful from the moment my mother conceived me. Psalm 51:5 and footnote. Sin has had a devastating effect on humans. It has not only damaged our relationship with our Creator, but also put us out of harmony with the rest of God's creation. That has resulted in enormous suffering both to individuals and to the human race as a whole. When I wish to do what is right, what is bad is present with me. Romans 7:21. All creation keeps on groaning together and being in pain together. Romans 8:22. Why do good people suffer? Much of our suffering results from our sinful nature, which both good and bad people have inherited. That sinful nature contributes to physical and mental disorders, as well as traits that cause people to harm one another. Is this what God intended? Were we meant to suffer? See question 4. Learn more. Watch the video, Why Does God Allow Suffering? On jw.org. End of article. Question 4. Were we meant to suffer? Why it matters. The answer to this question affects our outlook on life. To think about. Does it make sense that the God who created such beauty in the world would consign us to a life of suffering? Secular-minded people view suffering as a reason to question God's motives or even His existence. They believe that suffering shows that either 1. God is powerless to stop it, 2. God does not care to stop it, or 3. God does not exist. Are those really the only options? What the Bible says. God did not create us to suffer. He wants us to enjoy life. There is nothing better for people than to rejoice and to do good during their life. Also that everyone should eat and drink and find enjoyment for all his hard work. It is the gift of God. Ecclesiastes 3:12 and 13. God gave the first 2 humans a perfect start. He did not mean for them or their descendants to suffer. God said to them, "Be fruitful and become many, fill the earth and subdue it." Genesis 1:28. The first 2 humans chose independence from God. As a result, they brought much suffering on themselves and all their descendants. Through one man, sin entered into the world, and death through sin. And so death spread to all men because they had all sinned. Romans 5:12. The footnote reads, in the Bible, the word sin refers not only to wrong acts, but also to a condition that all humans have inherited. End of footnote. God did not create us to live independent of His guidance. We were no more created to rule ourselves than to live underwater. It does not belong to man who is walking even to direct his step. Jeremiah 10:23. God does not want us to suffer. He wants us to live in a way that, to the extent possible, we avoid problems. If only you would pay attention to my commandments, then your peace would become just like a river. Isaiah 48:18. Were we meant to suffer? No. Suffering was never part of God's purpose for humans. Suffering began when the first two humans chose a course of independence. But this does not mean that the human race is doomed to a cycle of endless suffering. Will our suffering ever end? See question 5. Learn more. Watch the video, How Can We Be Sure the Bible is True, on jw.org. End of article.